I won a PlayStation 3 in a giveaway competition.
Really?
Yes, and this huge box arrived one day saying congratulations, and I thought, oh my goodness, I've actually won something. Like most people, I thought, oh, I never win anything. And there was this huge box, and I thought, what is it? And it said PlayStation 3, and I thought, what the heck is that? That's completely useless. And you know what I did? We had a spare bedroom. Do you have one of those where you shove stuff you want to
Yes.
get out of sight,
Yes.
don't know where else to store? I shoved it under the bed there. And it must have lain there for probably 2 or 3 years. And it was only some complete turnaround in our personal circumstances when Poodlepa and I went through a personally very distressing phase in our life, trauma caused by loss and grief, that one day I thought, what the heck do I do? What do I do? I thought, clear up stuff. And I went into that spare bedroom and hauled out the stuff from under the bed. And I thought, oh my goodness, what's that? That useless box. What do I do with it? And I tried to sell it. It was a new unit. And I tried my darndest to sell the thing. And you know what? I failed again and again. Just weird stuff happened. Online trading was only just in the beginning phase in New Zealand. I walked into a cash and carry and said, please, I want to sell this. And they looked at me, a 60-year-old lady with glasses dangling, from her ropes. And they squinted at me and they said, can you prove that this is not stolen goods?
What? They thought that you were a
yes.
thief? What?
And of course the thing
ridiculous.
was, I hadn't even thought about that. I didn't have an invoice. I said I won it in a competition and they laughed. I had to go home again with my box. I tell you, it was just, it was extraordinary. I simply couldn't sell it. So one day I thought, well, I might as well open it up. I had heard that the PlayStation 3 was a Blu-ray player.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the days when Blu-ray players were new, that was a big thing. I believe the Sony was one of the first in the market with that. And as it happened, we had just bought a new Blu-ray player, and I thought it's a really good one. How about I do a little test? Because I'm kind of nerdy, techie, geeky, and I just love fiddling around with equipment. The more cables, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And so I cabled it all up, and I tested some Blu-rays, and I was actually really impressed with the PlayStation 3. And then my husband came home and said, oh, that's interesting. What else can you do with that thing? And I said, I think it plays games. And he said, there is a video store downtown and they have some video games for rental. So I said, well, I've no idea, but we might as well try. It's something to do to occupy our minds, while we were trying to come to terms with things. So we went down and I said to the lady in the store, I've never played a video game, but I've got this machine. Can you maybe rent us out a couple of games that would be suitable for absolute beginners? And to her credit, she didn't bat an eyelid and sent me home with 2 games, which were not terribly suitable for me, I don't think. But I sort of learned how to put it in the machine and get it going and use a controller for the first time. That was quite an experience. And it just went from there. I returned the 2 games, and it could have easily finished there, the story, but it so happened that I saw they had on the shelf a video game for an animated movie we had just watched. I think it came out in 2012. It's called Brave. It was published by Sony, and we loved that movie. We bought the disc, and And I looked at that and it looked so enticing. And I thought, well, I might really enjoy that because I know the story and I love the character. And I took that game home and it went a lot better. I made very slow progress, but I could see, and I thought, well, if I work really hard on this, I might actually be able to do this, And that was a fascinating idea. It was a new project. It was just what I needed at that time. So I recently purchased a copy of that game, Brave, that PlayStation 3 game, for nostalgic reasons. And
Awesome.
I popped it into my PlayStation and I played through that initial first part, the prologue or whatever it is. And, I remembered almost every scene. It must have just imprinted on my brain. And I went through it like this initial section in 5 minutes. Well, when I had played it first back in 2013, it took me an hour to get through that phase. And now I can do it just like that in 5 minutes. So I realized what a journey I must have taken to come to this point. So that was quite nice, really. So that's really the story of how I got into it. That story
is like a movie. It literally...
The whole thing is a movie.
It's crazy. It is. It's like a beautiful... It's like a beautiful piece of literature. The whole thing. It's unreal that's what happened.
If I read it, I think, oh, they're really playing this up because there's no way it happened that way. This isn't reality. So actually hearing it and knowing it's true is flat out incredible.
Yep.
It is.
And
it's the hero's journey in real life.
It is the hero's journey. Yeah, you're Frodo.
Right down to the rejection. Right down to the rejection of it at the beginning. Like it is absolutely what is it, Joseph Campbell? Did he do that?
Joseph Campbell, yeah.
Like it is scripted by Joseph Campbell. It's that classic and perfect.
Yeah. Well, it's that's how it all happened. And I have to add, this is actually the very first time I've ever told that story in public.
Wow.
Yes, people have asked me again and again, and because I hadn't really been able to talk about it before because it was bound up with a very sad, depressing period in our life, and you know how memories work. They infuse everything, and it's just taken me a long time to be able to just sit back and look at it and say, this happened to me, this is a story, so yeah.
Well, look, first of all, I'm really grateful and thank you for sharing that story, because it does sound like it brings up emotions due to the time that it's interconnected with. But at the same time, I think a lot of people would love to hear that story and also to be inspired by it, because Matt's saying, in terms of it being the hero's journey, it's also just a very archetypal story about discovery and rebirth during kind of like the lowest moment that you can have. And there's almost nothing more powerful than those types of stories. Literally, I'm not trying to be dramatic. I genuinely mean that.